Okay, I'm probably placed really odd, but I have a point. Before I start, I want to invite all of you to stand up, please, if you can. Thank you. I asked you to it's gonna sound weird, but I asked you to give me just one tiny jump, please. Thank you. Okay, now just take one tiny step forward, please. Now you can sit down. Thank you. Now, I've done this for two reasons. The first reason is you've probably heard a lot of speeches that were awesome, but I guess this freshens you up for mine. Another reason I've chosen to do this is because it relates to my speech. You see, your chair and my chair both represents comfort, stability, and safety for all of us. These three words are things we all naturally crave, and are things that we're born to enjoy and love. Oftentimes, when I was sat here, I was watching all of you stand up. You were all moving, and I sat. In this position, my options are very limited. But if I were to just step out of here, my options are now I could walk, I could jump as well, I could dance, I could probably run. My options now are limitless, just because I chose to get out of that chair and started walking. Our lives can be understood by also these metaphors that we apply to these things. Oftentimes, we constrict ourselves to our comfort zones because we think they ground us. We shield ourselves from what we don't already know. But when we do that, we forget of all the possibilities that are very much possible and are within our potential to achieve. Take my experience with debate and public speaking, for example. A few years ago, I started to experiment with debate and public speaking. And first, I signed up for this workshop with an organization, and I wasn't sure that I was going to get it, but I did. And I started to be trained with seasoned debaters by awesome coaches. And then came my first tournament. I was going to make you guess it, but it's already here. So my first ever real tournament was actually the Stanford Invitational. And this was when I had very little experience. And so there I was up against some of the strongest debaters from all over the world, and yet I, a blank canvas. So did that matter? Absolutely. I was up against people who've walked this path 10 times more than I have. People who've joined these conferences or competitions more than I have. But it didn't matter because they were better than me. It mattered because it was a golden ticket to improve myself. It was my opportunity to learn from people who know so much more than I do. And of course, you can expect we lost every single round, but that was fine. The funny thing, though, is the same thing happened in my experience with Model UN. In the 9th grade, I stepped into the world of Model UN, and I didn't know anything about this point. These opportunities in terms of Model UN were very limited, but that was okay. And you don't have to guess, the first conference I joined was with a school in Singapore. And like you'd expect, they were better than I was. And so what do you know? No awards, no honorable mentions, nothing. But I had fun. But as I progressed forward and enjoyed this, sport more, I began receiving recognition in these competitions or in these conferences. And I enjoyed it, and eventually started to host my own conference as Secretary General. But I assume you still don't believe me when I tell you to step out of your comfort zones with these two examples. And that's fine, I'll give you another example. Closer to mid-2023, I had an idea. It was an idea that I wasn't sure was going to shape well over the next few months, mainly because of external reasons. But I chose to take those risks because I had a goal, a dream team, and a vision to fulfill on my shoulders, and I went for it anyway. And that led to the birth of a youth-led debate nonprofit called Cambodian Debate League. And this is a nonprofit that focuses on providing more debate opportunities to young Cambodian students at a much, much lower cost and with lower barriers to entry. And ever since it started up until now, we've made immense steps to actually progress as an organization. So let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? First season. First season, it was the first time I was reaching out to sponsors as a separate entity. It was my first time. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I did it anyway. This time we had about 20 teams competing and about 130 people over the course of the 2 days of the event. And the event did end up happening, and we barely made it out alive. We learned a lot. We've made a lot of mistakes over the 2 days of the event, and we understood we needed to make changes, and fast. So then the second tournament rolls around. This time we had about 22 teams competing and about 130 so people still. But the thing is, this time it went a lot better. This time we had sponsors coming from the European Union delegation to Cambodia, and we even had more people participating and volunteers interested in our event. So that was good. The third tournament rolls around then. This is back in December of 2024. This was the Cambodian Debate League Open Season 3. This time, it was a major success. We had sponsors coming from Springboard for Education Cambodia, Manulife Cambodia, and Sociologic in Vietnam, where we raised $12,200 in debate scholarships for Cambodian students. The better part, though, was we had 42 teams competing and for participation from about 200 people. If you think about it, that's about a 100% increase from our previous event. And this time, we even had international adjudicators coming from countries like Vietnam and the Philippines. It was very easy if I were just taken a step back and told my VP, let's not do this. The risks are too high. The financial risks are too high. We don't know when our sponsors will be coming in. We don't know how many registrations we'll be getting. So let's not take that risk. It would have been easy to say that. But had I just made that decision, none of this would have been possible. Because I took those risks, I get to see these numbers. I get to see growth in my organization and something that I'm so passionate about. I get to help others build success stories and things that I also find passion in. And this is what makes these types of things so fun and engaging for me. Because not only does it improve myself, it helps me improve others. And as we progressed further, I learned that there are other opportunities for other people too, that I cannot manage. So, with our efforts, CDL was also able to help other organizations improve. People who wanted to make a stride in the world and leave it a better place, especially for children who need it most. We allowed ourselves to experiment so that others too could experiment with their projects. So then, when I started debate, Model UN, or CDL, nothing was certain for me. There were no guarantees for me. Everything was just up in the air. There was no plan B, C, or D. If it didn't work, then it didn't work. If I were to propose this idea and the Cambodian debate circuit wasn't ready for it, then I'd have at least made my mark and at least tried my best, and now I know, hey, it doesn't work. At least I would know. This speaks to a more, I guess, bigger picture. Because although I was uncertain, I still went for it anyway, and I still made the changes that I needed to make. And in terms of change, it comes in life, it's inevitable. Everyone will experience change. So it's easier, if you think about it, to just allow yourself to move forward even when it's uncertain, than to say, I don't want change, and try to shield yourself away from change, because that's not going to happen. Things will still change. And so for you, don't leave this event the same person you came in as. Don't let yourself do that. Try to be a bit better every day. There's so much to learn, and there's an abundance of lessons waiting for you to actually grasp your hand around. It's just waiting for you right there. So opportunities don't come to you if you don't chase it. The doors in this auditorium won't open for you if you don't push and pull. The same way applies to life. Push yourself a little harder. Try to grow. And get comfortable with walking the stairs of discomfort. Thank you.